Thank you for being here with us for our very last session of the Plant Powered Challenge 2025. I am Kara Tibby and I manage this, and we are so proud of each of you for learning, trying new things, setting goals, and joining us on a journey to better health. So today's session, Rising to Inspire, Paving the Path to Health Transformation, is brought to you by a true leader and innovator in the space of lifestyle medicine, Leanne, who will be conducting the session as a fireside chat with Rise cast members, Michelle Stitt and Bev Thiel. Leanne's passion is empowering individuals to be their healthiest selves. Leanne enters health transformation and innovation with a unique combination of expertise in behavior change science, pioneering experience in lifestyle and food as medicine, and deep roots in the digital health industry. At Evolve Health Advisors, a consulting organization that Leanne founded, she considers herself the chief changemaker. She dedicates her efforts and energy on partnering with organizations to design and disseminate programs, products, services that empower individuals to optimize their health and that transform organizations to bring health into the forefront. Leanne shares her thought leadership on facilitating meaningful and lasting behavior change through a history of federally funded programs of innovation research, numerous scientific articles, hundreds of presentations, workshops, and trainings, and most recently through her role on the Lifestyle Medicine Initiative for Global Wellness Institute. So you are all in great hands today, and we can't wait to hear the presentation and fireside chat. So take it away.
Thank you, Kara, so much for that very gracious bio. I'm so excited to be here. As you can tell from my background, my true passion is empowering individuals to optimize their health through living the healthiest lifestyle possible. And we all know that that's no easy ask. And so that is why I, pour all of my efforts into both developing programs to help individuals make meaningful and lasting behavior change and working with organizations to implement those programs. And so it's my distinct pleasure to be here, wrapping up the last week of the Plant Powered Challenge with all of you, and truly excited as you do wrap up this journey and move on to carrying this change forward to share with you a brand new lifestyle medicine app called Rise. And even more importantly, to share and for Bev and Michelle to share their stories and the tremendous health transformations they've made across the last year to bring whole foods and plants into the forefront. So Bev and Michelle, thank you for joining me today. Before we get started in the fireside chat where Michelle and Bev have very graciously offered to share with all of you their insights and experiences and tips from making a really difficult but powerful change to their own health journeys. I just want to share with you a little bit of context about this program Rise, so that as we might mention that, and also to share the special role that Bev and Michelle played in that program. So let me just share my screen here for 1 second. So Rise is a brand new lifestyle medicine app. Its focus is on food as medicine, and it is designed specifically for women. So I know you've received some information about Rise in the communications from the Plant Powered Challenge, but we just wanted to expose you to this really innovative platform that is science-based, but kind of delivered in this combination of a masterclass and entertainment platform, and to share with you the amazing job Bev and Michelle did in integrating their stories in the Rise journey. So in this platform, as I mentioned, the initial focus is on food as medicine, and the Rise app is honored to have Dr. David Katz as its main physician and nutrition host, where he helped to architect 12 episodes of content that really distill a lot of myths around nutrition and bring science and facts into the forefront through very brief, 2 to 3 minute videos, and everything how to leverage your diet to help you manage weight, to prevent disease, and even very actionable tips on moving towards a more plant-forward diet and how you do that in your home kitchen. And so in addition to the science-based expertise of Dr. Katz, Rise, which is publicly available at no cost, if you download it, you'll understand that there's not only educational videos, there's also skill-based challenges that also include not only culinary challenges, but also behavior change challenges that I helped to develop for the app along with content. So the themes that Bev, Michelle, and I talk about today are all themes that I have videos incorporated within the Rise app that, again, break down the science of behavior change into actionable insights that you can implement in your daily life. Because what we know is that change is that much more successful and easier when we use science to guide us and help us prepare for the change. And we'll really spend our time today talking about that with Bev and Michelle. But in addition to skill building and education, there's also this phenomenal pillar of inspiration and community, or pillars of inspiration and community within the Rise app. And that's where Bev and Michelle come in, that alongside a host of many, many experts, this is just a sampling of individuals that have come alongside Dr. Katz in creating videos for Rise. Bev and Michelle are part of a tremendous cohort of 12 women who were the first to experience Rise this summer, and not only participated in the program, they also chronicled their journey for 12 weeks. Their reflections, their experiences, their skill-based challenges, and all of their stories are integrated fully into the Rise app. So now the program that's available to the public not only brings forth education and skill building and a digital community, it also brings forth the transformation stories of these tremendous women, all from the Rockstar Women movement. Bev and Michelle, thank you for being here. We will remind you all how you could download Rise at the end of our conversation today. But now we're gonna turn to a conversation, and really, how we've kind of planned the conversation is to bring forth behavior change strategies that science has demonstrated are very powerful forces in helping us to not only make a change, but make one that is meaningful, really, transforms our health, and also is one that sticks. So Bevan, Michelle, thank you again for being here. And maybe I can kind of have the conversation begin by asking both of you to weigh in a little bit on, what motivated you to say yes, to participate in Rise, to not only participate in a program, but chronicle your journey. What was kind of the why and the motivating factor behind you agreeing to take this journey and share it with others? And maybe Bev, can I start with you?
Thank you. Really excited to be here. So, got the email, and lifelong fitness person involved in fitness industry for many, many years before my current role. And so anytime I got an email about, hey, here's some way for you to better your life or weight or anything, I've always jumped on. And then once I began to discover the content and I began to experience something different than I ever had before, my shift went from weight management to health management. And the myths that I grew up with in the fitness industry that I was telling people were factual, I began to really learn behavior techniques. But honestly, it was how I felt. And I wasn't feeling well. I was, going through all of the things we go through. As I began to progress through this, it was phenomenal to me. The immediate change in mind and body. And honestly, wasn't a huge effort because of that for me. So I joined because I was in a space where I felt I was with a whole bunch of women who would be empowering, but also that I could see that I could make change.
Well, thank you. And Bev, we'll definitely come back to some of those, benefits that fueled you to keep going. But Michelle, would love to hear from you of, kind of what was your inspiration and why in starting this journey?
So, I feel like I was conned. So, as you mentioned, we're part of the Rockstar Woman movement. My bestie of 20 plus years was like, Michelle, come join us. It'll be fun. So I'm like, okay, I'm, in a space, I'm in my 40s. I'm in a space where I should be learning how to sort of eat like a grown-up. So I'm on board. And I thought it was, initially I came in the door thinking that it was healthy eating, learn how to eat better, to fuel your system, all these things. And very quickly found out that it was whole food, plant-based through the orientation process. And I'm so thankful that I didn't know before walking in the door what I was in for, because I probably would not have signed on. I probably wouldn't have applied. Like I based on my lifestyle at that time, I probably wouldn't have. But on this side of it, I'm so thankful that I walked in the door, that I applied, that I went through the orientation process, and even coming away, driving home after that initial orientation, I'm like, okay, Michelle, you can commit to yourself, invest in yourself for 12 weeks, and then we'll see how we feel after that. So super thankful that I did it. But there was a little arm twisting on the front end.
Well, appreciate that honesty, Michelle.
Yes,
And I think maybe it was some selective hearing too, right?
yes,
I
yes,
didn't want to
yes.
hear that piece, but we are so glad that you joined and said yes, and excited today for you to share with everyone as we continue the conversation, kind of, yeah, what that unfolding of the experience was for you that went from something that you might not have said yes to if you fully realized to embracing it.
Yes.
Um, so maybe one thing I wanted to kind of bring to light here, and it's definitely in some of the videos that that you both have interacted with in the Rise platform, is as we're starting a behavior change journey, doing that early preparation work, like cognitively and emotionally, right? A lot of times we jump into action without building a foundation for the change to be built upon, right? And so some of that early work that I know you both were asked to do and create videos around in the Rise platform is um, upfront, both identifying like what was your destination, what was that future vision, like your future self, like, okay, I can do this for 12 weeks, and not just at the end of the 12 weeks, but if this is a start of a whole new path to my health optimization journey, where do I hope to arrive? So both would love you both to share, like, what was that future vision and future self if you had that in mind? But then also we talked a lot about in Rise is also then having a really kind of concrete small first step. So would love if you'd both be willing to share both that future vision that maybe you had in mind up front, as well as then like taking that first step. What was your first, step into this journey? And Michelle, maybe you wouldn't mind going first this time.
Yeah, sure, sure. So in terms of future vision, I knew that I needed to make a change in terms of how I was fueling my body so that I could simply feel better in my body. We all know that there are days where you go through that fast food line or, drive through or whatever, and the food that we tend to fuel ourselves, depending on where we're going, can make you feel sluggish and unwell. I knew I wanted to feel better in my body was my sort of only future vision. I've done things for weight loss previously. I didn't want that to be the focus. I simply wanted to take better care of myself. But in terms of small steps, I had to, especially in the first couple of weeks, um, stay focused on how am I fueling my body today? What am I doing for this next meal? And then the meal, and so there was a lot of meal planning in there, but I had to really take it meal by meal, snack by snack, day by day. So, yep.
Yeah. Appreciate that perspective, Michelle, right? Because when we think about, movement and exercise and committing to a goal in that area, of course, it could be all day because we want to move more rather than sit, but it might be like a 30 or 45-minute workout that happens once, where you're right, eating is many times throughout the day. So I appreciate that perspective that it was kind of taking it meal by meal and snack by snack, especially when we're trying to really overhaul our dietary pattern. So Bev, would you share with us kind of that future self vision, and then where did you start?
Yeah, for sure. So this is funny because we're like polar opposites, which is probably intentional. But like, so I typically am like, let's go, let's go. Where's the meal plan? Where's it? Like, let's go. I've signed up, we'll go. And what I took away from the very beginning was the very first time in my life I was looking inward to how I thrive, how my family thrives, what my life is like, what my lifestyle is like. where I am currently, how I'm eating, and what steps do I want to take to get to the next level. And so for me, it was that behavior management piece of really spending time understanding where I wanted to be that took the focus off of weight management and moved it to just thriving and saying, I'm in my 60s. It's time to really focus on me. I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can in my power to be here, to do all of the fun things that retirement will bring, right? And so setting myself up for success in my mind for me was probably the biggest first step I needed to take. So my eating lifestyle was kind of along the spectrum, although I learned so very much about that. But for me, thriving and sitting in this space for the very first time in 64 years of focusing on me was unbelievably helpful. And all of those videos, those 2-minute videos, just that retrospective at the end of no matter where we started in that spectrum, like you just walk away with some insight on yourself. And I'd never experienced anything like that. So for me, that was one of the big first steps.
Well, and Bev, if maybe we can talk a little bit about some of those early wins, those early moments when you're like, oh wow, like I'm doing this and it's making a difference. So you alluded to a few minutes ago, kind of you started feeling better or differently very quickly. Would you share with us a little bit of like, yeah, those initial moments when you're like, oh wow, things are changing, and like, those early wins that help fuel your journey?
So I decided to do we had a challenge where we had to eliminate dairy and salt and sugar and all of those things. And I decided to do that on vacation, which sounds counterintuitive, but it really was the best thing to do. I was on an island and I couldn't find sugar if I wanted to. But by the end of that 5th day, and I'm like 5 days and my joints don't ache. And I ate a piece of pizza on day 6 and it tasted like a salt container. And I was astounded at how quickly our tastes can change, how quickly we can adapt to healthy food, and how quickly your body reacts to that. And so all of those things that women go through on a daily basis, I began to attach to certain products or processes or things that were in food. And I began to develop tastes. Like I crave broccoli and sweet potatoes. I'm not gonna lie, right? And I think part of that is my body saying, this is what I need. This is what you need today. So for me, that was a phenomenal first experience. It was really scary, I felt like, but made me just recognize immediately that these changes were positive for me.
The palate reset, right, Bev?
Yes. Yes.
For that, yes.
Yes.
It's powerful. And I know it's a tool the Corbell Lifestyle Medicine team utilizes often as well with their patients. So yeah, Michelle, will you share with us what maybe an early win or early moment was when, things started really clicking for you and you really started feeling and experiencing things that got you addicted to this journey?
Yes, I have to agree with Bev. It was the palate reset. So I did the reset over a series of days that overlapped with the 4th of July. And I kept looking at it like, oh, can I start it later? Can I start it earlier to be able to because there are certain smells that are in the air when the smell of barbecue, things of this nature that are so baked into certain holidays, 4th of July being one of them. It's like fireworks, s'mores, barbecue. And I had to really be mindful of, even though we had been on the Rise journey for a bit before the reset, I had to be mindful to make sure that I had looked up recipes so that I could still barbecue, but what I'm putting on the grill is different. The veggies and how I'm preparing them, certain things like that. I had to be super mindful, but I got through the day. I nourished myself. I felt good. I had like food that I grilled for myself, and then other things that I grilled for my daughters who were home for the day. So, but everybody was good. Everybody got what they needed. And at the end of the evening, I was like, I don't really want the s'mores. Like I'm good on the things that are not within the sort of guidelines of that palate reset. I was super proud of myself. That was super, that was like a I know in Asana, like when you like complete a task and the little unicorn goes across the screen, like it was that sort of moment
love
for
it.
me. So yeah, I'm like, if I can make it through this, we've got the rest of these weeks. Like I've got this. And I don't know, I kind of kept joking to my daughters about my new taste buds. Like my taste buds are changing, and things that I used to crave, I no longer crave. And that was definitely, the reset was definitely a big win for me. So yeah.
Yes. Yes. I still remember, Michelle, I think we got together live, the group on Zoom or something soon after that palette reset, and you sharing. I'm so glad you were able to share that today with others as well, because
Yeah.
you're right, getting through a first major holiday on a health forward diet journey is no easy task. And, you know, uh, as humans, we're, creatures of habit. So that 5-day reset does powerful things clearly from both of your stories, and just disrupting what our typical routines are and patterns. So we know that the road to any lasting behavior change meets many roadblocks and sources of friction throughout the journey. Even despite both of you sharing all the good things that you were feeling and experiencing even pretty early on in the journey, we know overcoming those cons and those barriers, and planning for temptation, overcoming temptation, can be really challenging. So would be grateful for any tips or insights you might be able to shed from your experience for those joining us today on what were some of those most powerful sources of friction and barriers, and how you overcame them. Bev, maybe we'll go back to you.
Yeah, well, there's many in life, right? But I feel like in my current state, I'm out a lot. So my job requires that I'm present in community. And I just constantly worried about, in the safety of my home, I'm able to prepare, eat, like enjoy, the choices but when I'm out with others, how are they going to accept that? Whether, we've talked about culture of family, families can pressure you into things, but so can situations, right? And so how was I going to be prepared? A few things that really helped me was in there's a snacking tip. So I carry things with me all of the time because I never know when I'm going to get home or get stuck somewhere where they're not going to have something, and I need to fuel my body. So I always carry snacks with me that are healthy snacks that I can make sure that, nuts and fruit and vegetables that I can just like make sure I have a snack. That was super helpful. And although that sounds really simple, there was like a whole segment on how to do that appropriately and how to prepare that. And also then just the conversations. I think sometimes folks worry about you, or are you eating this, or are you eating that, and just I embrace every meal is just one meal out of the day. I'll be fine. I'm good. This is a choice I'm making. I'm okay. Everything's fine. Like there's just a lot of folks who get caught up in what you're eating, and so it's really a choice. And as females, as I started to talk about what I was eating, oh, well, you can't eat potatoes and strawberries. And I'm like, well, that's one I've never heard. But like you begin to hear the myths, right? Or the things that people, and it's just sitting in your space of saying, I know how I feel today and how I felt yesterday before that. So those were super cool tips. And then reminding people always that the reason I'm breaking bread with you is to be with you. It really isn't about the meal. The reason I'm here is to be with you. And so let's be happy that we're in this space together. And I think that is super helpful with folks. The other thing is like people are going to ask you a million questions. So be prepared to answer a million questions about what you're eating, why you're not eating. And that to me has been like phenomenal.
Yeah, there is. I mean, it definitely brings even more into the forefront how social eating is, right?
Yes.
So social. And I definitely have experienced things that you've alluded to. And folks just even commenting like, oh, you're still eating that way? Like, they thought it was just going to be a phase. So,
Yep.
but right, it gets easier in time. Like I feel like the confidence you just had in sharing all of that too,
Yeah.
it comes with practice and experience and
Yeah.
repeated interactions with folks of justifying, if you will,
Yeah.
your choices.
It's just all about prepping for what's ahead, right? Like if we're hungry, we're going for the things. So making sure you have those plants in your refrigerator and your cupboard, and then you're good, right? So yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Michelle, how about you? What might you share with the group today about some of the biggest cons or barriers or temptations you faced and how you overcame them?
I would say my biggest thing was in terms of temptations. And it was a matter of being prepared. There were, for the most part, I work from home. So the the whole rotation of pack your lunch, pack your snacks, and all like that. Like literally, my office is here. On the other side of the wall is the kitchen. So, like in terms of my rise journey and beyond, really, that part of it, the meal prep part of it, was easier. The part that was challenging for me, that I found to be challenging and continue to kind of navigate, is this whole business of being prepared when I go out into the wild. Like my daughters were cracking up laughing at me because my new thing is it's not chips or crackers or snacks or trail mix or whatever in my car. It's like mason jars with like almonds or sunflower seeds or a rogue apple or banana, which shouldn't be in the car too long. But in the car to be able to have that nourishment with me when I go. So that segment on snacks was huge because it let me know that I can take with me. I mean, I can take the things that nourish me with me on the go so that I'm not so tempted to like go get fries or whatever because I'm hungry. Like if all I need is a snack, I can snack on an apple, some sunflower seeds, something of that nature while I'm out until I get back to home base to be able to actually feed myself or wherever I'm headed, to be able to properly nourish myself. So that be prepared quotient was significant.
Yes. Well, and you both, I guess the next theme and strategy I wanted to bring up is like architecting our environments and routines. And you both have alluded to this some, but I think it is, a concept worth drilling down a little bit more because I think a lot of times people put so much on willpower and fault themselves for not having the willpower. And the palate reset does powerful things to help us, not really crave or want or appreciate the taste of those salts and sweets as much. But still, if they're around us, we're just having it out there can be a real barrier. And sometimes the best strategy is to really architect our environment, whether that's home or work, or like you said, Michelle, your car, your routines, making the healthy easy. So just wondering if either of you have additional examples of, things you had to like get out of your routine or your house and also things intentionally brought in so that not just is the unhealthy not around, but like you said, Michelle, right? The sunflower seeds, the almonds, like any other examples or tips there that you found particularly helpful in creating, the world around you to support the change you were trying to make? Bev, what do you?
So, the when we did the pantry upgrade, right? When you went through your pantry, like I didn't realize like I save everything. So if there was like something in there, I'm not going to throw it away just because there's half a box of noodles. Well, I had the opportunity to go through my pantry and just get rid of what didn't fit, right? And then but then making it visual. So we used canisters that we could see in. So our pantries were filled with canisters that we could see what was there. And when you open up that cupboard and you see nuts and sunflowers and dried fruit or whatever it is, you're tempted to get that. And so keeping all of that where it was highly visible and ready to eat, and doing the same in the refrigerator. So if I had carrot sticks, they weren't in the bag anymore, they were in a container and they were visible. Apples were visible in a bowl, like everything was visible, not in the drawers, everything was out. And so the temptation to grab that over, for me, a hunk of cheese or something was huge. And so I think that was really important. And then the content that helped me alongside that was all of the myths of food, and those foods that, strong word, but we become addicted to through whatever's in that food, through the science or through the industry that's preparing that food. That was really helpful to me to realize this is deeper than a taste. This is me saying, like, this does not help my body thrive. And so I think the biggest issue folks really face is that whole protein question. Am I getting enough protein when I'm opening up my cupboards? Because we associate that with animal, and that's not typically in your cupboard. So I think there's just a lot of making sure that when you open that space, you're seeing the thing. I don't live alone. So there's chips and Doritos and there's all kinds of things other places in my house, but it's not visible to me when I open up a cupboard. And so I make sure that, like, that's not the place I go to. So because you are feeding your family, right? And so not everybody chooses to go on this journey with you, although it's been fun to sprinkle some things in that folks aren't aware of. But so I think there's just that space of it's just got to be visible right in front of you.
Love that. Well, thank you, Bev, and more power to you for, making the healthy so visible and beautiful that you can avoid some of those, not as health forward options still lurking in the background. Michelle, any additional tips you want to share there around creating a healthy environment?
I think my biggest thing throughout this entire lifestyle change has been really meal prepping has saved me. And I think I used to look at meal prepping one way differently. But in terms of when the fruit comes in, it was easy for me before to buy things like grapes or blueberries or things of that nature, bring them in the house, and they'd stay in the bag, stay in the fridge, and then they'd go bad. And I'm like, oh, they've gone bad. I've got to get rid of them. Okay, so the shift was, in terms of meal prepping, they come in, they're immediately washed, like immediately soaked, washed, cleaned, dried, jarred, put in the fridge so that I can kind of set myself up for success in that way. The week that we did the pantry overhaul was probably one of my favorites. The artist in me, I'm a super visual person. So to be able to open up my refrigerator, my cabinets, I was a huge fan of that shift because while it was challenging to see the win in it by and kind of having to shift how I'm thinking about snacking initially, the beauty in how my cabinets looked was so cool. My daughters, I have two, or one that's in the house, two that are one that's in college, and then another who's graduated college and off working and all like this. The two that don't live at the house would come home and open up cabinets and like, wait, what are we supposed to snack on? I'm like, look at all this greatness. Like, there's so much. Open up the fridge, look at all this. They're like, wait, where are the chips? Where are the cookies? They're not here. So it was a huge shift for them in terms of environment, but they're rolling with the punches. They now know that if they want chips and things and all like that, they need to bring them when they come over. But my environment works for, where I'm going, what I'm doing. So yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, Michelle. And yeah, I definitely think this type of journey helps you appreciate on a whole new level just our culture around food and quantities and the type of food, right? And I have 3 teenage boys, and by no means is our pantry perfect. But they still expect it to kind of look like the grocery store with like every snack option. The number of times they open the pantry and there's no food in this house. I mean, my goodness, there's tons of food in the house, right? We go on a journey to reacquaint ourselves with real whole food that can actually nourish us. So thank you both for sharing. Let's talk about one more theme, and then we can open it up for some questions. But I appreciate that both of you are sharing the good and the ugly that comes with behavior change. It's not always easy in any way, and we know that sustaining change is tricky, right? It's like that first step in beginning a change journey is really difficult, and you get some of those early wins behind you, and then it is completely, like, I always think it's so important to dispel, like, it becomes easier over time, but it doesn't mean it's perfect, right? And like going into long-term change with grace, and expecting there to be bumps. And I think going in expecting there to be bumps hopefully helps us catch them sooner, so that if we do go off course, whether that's a meal, a day, a week, a month, we're really aware of it and can get back on track so much easier than that initial momentum to get started. So would love any kind of, honest reflections from both of you. And, you did the first kind of 12-week journey of Rise this past summer. So you're many months in to sustaining. How's that going? What does that look like? Yeah, Michelle, can we go with you first?
Absolutely. So I feel like it's gone well. Okay, so disclaimer, we're coming out of the holidays, and so that was a little squirrely, but I feel like it's gone really well. I feel like I my mentality, and I knew this going in, is kind of a all or nothing. And so I've had to sort of shift my thinking there. Like initially, when I started my Rise journey, I thought it was going to be where I'm saying no to everything. And so in terms of sweets and things of that nature, I was trying to figure out, like, how do I like desserts. What do I do with that? How do I um is it a willpower thing, like to your point earlier? And so I would set up little rewards for myself where it's like, okay, so your challenge is drink this much water in a day. And then instead of getting a slice of chocolate cake, which I can't have in the house, I would do like Trader Joe's has like, not that this is an advertisement for Trader Joe's, has dark chocolate where you can cut it up in a bunch of different chunks. The chunks are sort of preset. I would get that, bring it in, cut it up, stick it in the fridge. And dessert maybe looks like 1 or 2 of those little squares. And that's if I've like satisfied my sort of water quota for the day. So there were things like places like that where I had to kind of set up a realistic, like, you don't have to say no to all sweets and ways that you've enjoyed food previously, but maybe you're changing what that looks like. Maybe it's not this ooey gooey, dessert thing, or mindlessly eating some other sweet treat or whatever. It's a very measured but still fun treat for myself. So wait, I'm trying to think, did I answer all of the question?
You did.
I'm
You
like,
did.
I'm talking like this.
No,
Sorry.
it's all very helpful. Bev, any comments there around sustaining change?
I think it's been, I would agree the holidays were difficult just because of you're just with family. And so we tend to associate different things we've always had at Christmas or at the New Year's. And so really intentionally saying, shoot, if I'm making a prime rib, maybe I'll just take a little taste of it just to make sure I cooked it okay. But also like to go into that, I've never been a big dessert person, but when I do eat sugar is when that triggers me to just stop eating healthy. Like I adore sugar, so I had to be very intentional. And I think one of the things that blew my mind was I never really liked fruit. Well, fruit is like dessert. And so some of the things we learned to do with fruit were mind blowing to me and were highly satisfying. So people would talk about a piece of chocolate cake as being rich. I think we made a pineapple dessert that was really rich to me, but there was nothing in that but nature. And so it was beautiful. It was a beautiful opportunity. So it is just, there is that setback. I think what resonates me most is all of the comments about perfection, that we're not after perfection. We're after making sure our bodies are thriving and are fueled. And sometimes that fuel might vary, but we want to keep it on premium, right? So it is just saying that happened today, but that isn't the end of it. You know, this is what makes me, this is the fuel I need. So.
Thank you both. We have a few minutes here. Kara, can I turn it back to you for any questions? And at the same time, maybe I'll share my slides. So if anyone needs help getting how to access Rise, those will be up on the screen, if that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you, all three of you so much. This is so wonderful. I love hearing patient journeys and real life experience. This has just been wonderful. We do have a couple of questions. So the first question, I'm curious what Bev and Michelle have found helpful for sweet treats. I know, Michelle, you just covered that, and Bev, you did as well. So, but anything else you want to add on to that? Anything additional that you guys have found outside of the fruit or chocolate that is your favorite? Or Leanne?
I think I've like rediscovered smoothies in a different way than I had ever eaten smoothies before. Like a smoothie before was full of yogurt and all of those things that I currently don't eat. So it's been amazing to turn a smoothie into a fruit and vegetable like delight, like putting things in there you never thought would be delicious and fulfilling. And so for me, I think that's probably, I would say that is something on a daily basis that I enjoy and probably fills the old sweet tooth need.
Great suggestion.
Yeah.
I love that.
I think the only other thing that I would offer up, and I don't do it a lot anymore, is occasionally if I'm having a moment where I'm craving a sweet treat, I would do like a spoonful of peanut butter. It sounds so cheesy and like granola mom-ish, but like it's a thing. Like if you have removed a lot of the sweets out of your diet, and you do, I mean, peanut butter in a pinch will do the trick. It really will. But if there are a lot of other sweets around and you're comparing like a Snickers to a spoonful of peanut butter, like that's not going to hold up. But if you've removed a lot of sweets from your diet, that could do it.
Great. Another great question. I'm trying not to eat processed meat like bacon and sausage. What have your favorite substitutes been?
Gosh, so I went through the whole Beyond thing, right? Like all that processed meats, and then turned over the packages and like, oh my goodness, there's a lot in here. And so I just don't eat meat, but I choose to make food that has lots of spices that, so when I'm having tacos, for example, I'm making the taco meat for my husband, but I'm doing black beans with all of the same seasonings that is in that taco mix, right? So I'm not losing the taste, I'm just losing the animal product in there.
Yep. I would say for me I am pretty much an all or nothing chick, and I couldn't do a substitute. My daughters and I tried like different vegan sausages and things of that nature, but the sodium quotient was insane, and I'm like, that's not a workable substitute. The other element is that the taste wasn't exactly what I was looking for. So I'm like, we're tossing it. I have been experimenting with, I've seen a few different plant-based like Instagram pages where they'll take carrots, for example, and season them up and then kind of make them in a way where it kind of goes in the direction of a bacon or a sausage. I've seen the same thing and I've tried it with tofu as well to make like a faux BLT. And that one was actually really, really good. So 300 different ways to cook tofu with this one.
Yes. That is wonderful. Well, thank you. Thank you all again so much for being here. This has been wonderful. And again, thank you so much to all of our participants for joining us over the last month in this journey. And just a reminder to everybody, we do have the Facebook page, Cornwall Health Lifestyle Medicine, which you can join and follow for more recipes and tips and tricks and just plant-based information. We're always posting new stuff on there. You can call our practice at any time to schedule an appointment. I know Leanne shared the QR code for the RISE app as well. So hopefully many of you were able to download that. And yeah, we're so grateful. I don't know if you guys want to give any closing remarks, but again, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
I'll just say thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity and yeah, partnership. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank
Good
you.
luck. Appreciate it.
All right.